another Village in Motion on a Friday, TGIF. And really, it should be a TGIF, the way my mind's working already. It is April 8th, the second Friday in April already, and I am just pleased to be your host once again, Diane Gatsis Havinga, and I have two really wonderful special people who are going to explain what I mean by CSR and why that's important, not only for me as a staff person here at Green Spring, but for you as someone who lives here at Green Springs. So everyone knows, I would hope, our philanthropy director, Kimberly Nelson.
Good morning.
Good morning, who wears multiple hats.
Multiple hats.
And we'll talk about that momentarily. And we have a special guest, someone who I have had the privilege of working with for at least the last 6 months, I guess, when we first started this.
About a year.
About a year. Heather Wade, who is with the Nova Blood Donor Services. She is the Senior Account Manager. And Heather and I work together on our blood drives. And we're going to be talking about blood drives. We're going to be talking about the Echo Food Drive. We're going to be talking about the Alzheimer's Walk. We're going to be talking about all the other things that Green Spring does. But first, I have one question for both of you. Okay? What in the world is CSR, corporate social responsibility, and why should I care?
So, corporate social responsibility at Green Spring is really how are we as a community, Green Spring community, residents, staff, employees, our partners, how are we partnering in many cases with other nonprofits? Many times you think of for-profit businesses partnering with nonprofits, and I would say Green Spring is really very unique because we're a nonprofit that partners with a lot of other nonprofits, not just with gifts of time, but also financial gifts. And that makes Green Spring really unique and different because we really believe that it's important to help our neighbors and our local community in so many ways. And so one of those ways is, for example, the blood drive that we had recently, which is, we're so glad Heather is here.
Thank you, Kimberly.
And I thought maybe you could tell us a little bit about, how long has Green Spring had this partnership and the importance of really blood drives and the work that happens with Nova.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And Nova Blood Donor Services and Green Spring, we have partnered together for about 10 years. And each year we usually do just one blood drive. We're privileged this year that Green Spring agreed to 2, and that the group here at Green Spring that runs it has become very passionate, and they want to see more donors. So we are grateful for the partnership.
I think we had a record blood drive this spring,
right.
Didn't we,
in March,
Diane?
we just finished the first one of the year, which was on March 27th, I think. And I think the reason it was so successful was the partnership we had with the residents. I mean, I had, at last count, I have a list here, at least 19 residents who embraced this task of when Heather came to me last fall. We had a drive last fall, and she said, we really would like you to go ahead and do 2 drives next year. And I'm like, oh, I was a little like, really? And Heather, what did you say to me that convinced me?
Well, a couple of things. Most donors here are eligible to donate every 56 days. That from the time you donate blood, you're eligible again on the 56th day. More importantly, you have a captive audience here at Green Spring. This is a great community where it kind of has a little bit of everything. So your residents have the opportunity to mingle around the buildings, and they're here.
They don't have to drive anywhere to give blood.
Absolutely. We bring
right.
all of our equipment, our snacks, our juice, our staff. So if you can bring us the donors, we bring everything else. And one of the things that your residents and donors did for us is I strategically booked the drive or put this drive on the calendar when kids in Virginia and Maryland were headed towards spring break, when we see a drop off of our school blood drives.
Oh.
So knowing that there would be folks
And
here
that's
to,
a time of need.
it is still, every day is a time of need. So.
And so she said, let's do it. I said, fine. And then all of a sudden, the Health Services Committee said, Diane, we want to take this task on. And so working with the Health Services Committee here at Green Spring, we had residents who volunteered to sit in front of the dining rooms and get residents and also staff. They got a lot of dining services folks to sign up, and I kind of took over the staff recruitment, shall we say. And we had an overflowing amount of reservations this year, thanks to those 19 plus resident volunteers.
I think the thing to remember as we think of corporate social responsibility is it may start under the philanthropy sort of umbrella, but what a great example of how we really partner with so many others. This is clearly a passion for you, and you're really our staff leader of this area. But then as we partner with our resident council groups and health services to really get their partnership, because they're also passionate about health, areas of health. Again, it is not a one-person show. We really are so collaborative. And then as we bring in Inova and their partnership, as you said, 10 years, what a great, great example of just working together in a seamless but very strategic way for our residents to help others and for Inova to have a great that partnership and the benefit to help do the good work they need to do with all the hospital system here in the area. So it's just really very exciting. Now, don't we have I believe we already have a fall date scheduled for the blood drive?
Mark your calendars. October 27th, we will be here. That is our Halloween week t-shirt giveaway. So it's always a fan favorite for our donors. They're fun, they're cute, and we look forward to another great event here at Green Spring.
That's great.
Right. And we'll get more information as the time goes. But for those who are regular donors, you want to save that date, because you can't be donating pretty much towards the end of August until our drive. So no blood donating for you until you come here to Green Spring during that time. And just really quick, so Heather, as one of the nonprofit organizations that we partner with, is the CSR, corporate social responsibility, is that a big deal for Inova?
It is, and a lot of groups that we partner with feel the same way that Green Spring does about corporate social responsibility, which is how they will either contact us to set up blood drives, or it's just been part of their give back campaigns. A lot of groups that we work with, whether they be churches or schools or for-profit businesses, and don't get me wrong, we work with a lot of nonprofits as well that want to do other avenues of giving back. A lot of these groups, they don't realize at first the good that they're doing, and once they become fully engaged and fully invested, they realize you can't write a check to get blood. You have, it's an hour out of your day every 56 days, and that's how a lot of our groups keep bringing their donors in. You don't have to donate money. You don't have to bring in anything from your house. You just bring you. And that's
the gift of time and blood.
And the gift of life. Exactly.
And just one unit also translates to 3 saved lives. So it's like tripling your time and energy and whatnot.
So your 41 units from your past drive in March saved up to 123 patients, not just in our hospitals, but hospitals across Northern Virginia and metropolitan DC.
And that's the other nice thing about the partnership, because we know it's all sort of local, close to home.
Our
And that-
motto is give local, save local.
Yep.
And we strive not just to supply our branded hospitals, but all of the hospitals that need blood throughout the region.
Yeah, and that's nice.
So, and that's pretty much your emphasis too. When you sit down and try to figure out what's going on for each year, it's more the local, where can we help locally versus, well, let's throw our money, and I shouldn't say throw, let's put our money or our energy
Right.
overseas or.
Right. So that's true. So with our corporate social responsibility, we are looking at things local. So another example is the Echo Food Drive that is, ending today. And that really started over 10 years ago through our faith communities here at Green Spring. Again, our residents were the drivers. And then we tried to figure out, this is a good thing for staff to also be partnering with, which is really what we do twice a year, and you see the photo on the screen, to help also get staff to bring things. I know I brought 4 bags of canned goods in, and I know it happens across the community. So again, it's another great partnership, and do you happen to recall, when did the staff piece start? Because I know you help with that too.
I'm thinking, going back to my records, about 2009. You're going to see some older type pictures. Diane's hair color's changing dramatically during some of these shots. But at any rate, as far as I could tell, 2009 is when the staff started to get together and say, we want it,
Right.
we want to help. And the reason we chose Echo was, again, that whole local aspect, that Echo is right down the street from us, but they serve our neighbors, our fellow citizens in Springfield and also Burke, who, for whatever reason, aren't necessarily having a great time of making ends meet.
Yep.
And one of the urgent is, food. And a lot of the people that they serve are people who work. I mean, they're working, but they, as you know, as we all know, living in Northern Virginia, it's hard to make ends meet when you live in a area that economically is one of the highest in the country, and your job may not be able to keep up with, making that weekly.
Right. And the other thing with Echo, not only do we have the food drive, but we also have that great resident partnership through the treasure chest. So as items come in through treasure chest, and maybe they're not sold over a certain period of time, we don't just throw it away. It is then passed on to Echo so that maybe someone else can use those pots and pans or dishes or clothes that, for whatever reason, weren't selling at that point in time. Of course, it always seems to happen that once we donate something, 3 weeks later, a staff person comes in and says, did you have these pots and pans? They're like, oh, we just sent it to Echo. So it is all a matter of timing.
Right.
But again, it's a great partnership locally here at the community with just sharing items to make a difference. Some of the other things, though, I know we saw some pictures earlier, is our Alzheimer's Walk. So every year there is a fall Alzheimer's Walk, and of course with an aging senior community, and we have a memory care unit, we have intermissions programs, we're always talking about brain health and fitness, and the Alzheimer's Association works with many different forms of not just Alzheimer's but related dementias or memory loss concerns. And you see these great pictures of residents and staff at the walk from previous years, which is usually we have about 200 people, it seems like, in total that are there. So this is an event where staff and residents are giving their time to support the cause, and then Green Spring as a community, we're a key sponsor for this event. So that's where Green Spring chooses to do some financial support. And it's really nice so residents know that Green Spring feels this is also a priority. Another area that we might think of would be the Northern Virginia Senior Olympics, where we have the Wii Bowling here on campus. So again, that Northern Virginia Senior Olympics, Green Spring is one of their key sponsors to help with that particular program. Again, promoting senior health and wellness, and hosting as well the Wii Bowling event for the tournament. So those, sort of give you an idea of, it really is very wide ranging.
So Green Spring gives not only time and energy, but they also a lot of times make that financial
They
commitment.
also do financial commitments. And another key one that maybe residents are not aware of is we also do a sponsorship for the senior all-night grad party for our local high schools. So, we have our student scholars and we have students who work here. So there are, several high schools that are predominantly working here at the community. And for those residents, it's probably been a while since you had a child in high school, but these days what they do is they do what's called an all-night grad party, where they have a location where the students show up in the evening and the doors get locked, and it's sort of an all-night games and music and dancing, which young people can do all night, but it keeps them off the roads, not getting into trouble unexpectedly.
You can talk to Andrew Seegers later, because I'm pretty sure he participated in one, and I'm pretty sure I was there too, Andrew. Let's talk about a
We will talk about that. But the residents...
I was not there.
Oh, he didn't go. All right. Well, darn.
Oh, boy.
But I was there as a
above, a
parent, as a
chaperone.
chaperone, and.
But Green Spring
yes.
does help give a financial contribution to help support those safe night events, because we really believe in our seniors and our students, and it's just a nice way for us to also help the PTA of those high schools. So again, it shows a nice partnership and that connection, because as we know, we're in the middle of the Scholars Campaign, and we just have such great students. There's close to 200 students here at Green Spring with all of our restaurants, and what a great partnership. So it only makes sense for us to do some things back with the schools. Of course, we do mentoring things and speaking things, and they'll do job fairs at schools, and some of those things we might think of, but we don't always think of the all-night grad party. It sort of flies under the radar, but if they don't have the financial support to pull that together, if you think of a high school class and how many students, and keeping them all busy and renting a venue, it takes a bit of time, money, and organization for the PTA. And so to know that's one of the things that we believe in also partnering with the community.
I'd like to kind of change the direction of the conversation just a little bit in terms of why it's important not only for our residents and for the community, but for staff. Because in today's world, we all know there's a lot going on, and as especially the younger employees start to come into the workforce, one of the driving forces in terms of why they choose to work at a certain place is corporate social responsibility.
Yeah, it is. You sometimes hear lots of things on the news about businesses that don't care about their employees, or you hear all this drama. And Green Spring is just like a big family. I mean, I think that's why so many staff like you and I just love working here and being here, because we just so believe in our mission. And really, as we help our residents, and we also help our community, and then we partner with our residents, and from an employee perspective, to know you're working at really a place that makes such a difference for others in some way.
Right.
And I'm sure Inova and the blood drive, you all feel that same passion for helping others.
If there's no passion, there's no us.
Yeah.
You know, our focus is patients and our donors. And for you to be able to bring in a blood drive or any business, it is so important because that staff member that's going to donate, they don't have to leave. They don't have to leave the building or the campus.
Right.
They come, they spend an hour.
Yes. Makes it convenient.
They don't have to do it on the weekend or at night.
Right, right.
If anything, I get more people coming to me, residents and staff, saying, "Can't we have more blood drives?"
We can definitely.
No, I'm not throwing that out as something we're going to do.
Don't make me laugh.
We're going to go with 2 this year. But one of the things you also mentioned, Diane, is how does CSR and that philosophy affect our employees? And another thing I wanted to bring up, because it does affect our employees, is that we have a program or a benefit where employees can give their time to a nonprofit sort of on the clock, so to speak.
Exactly. That is wonderful.
And that really, I mean, it has an indirect benefit to our residents in the sense that employees feel like this is a place where they want to stay and continue to grow their career because they just feel happy here. And yes, it's the residents, but it's also knowing you have this climate of giving. And so you can give your time. And I recall several years back, probably many years back, I remember you went and, I don't know if you built a house or, when you think of like Habitat for Humanity or a natural natural disaster.
The Katrina
Thank you.
aftermath, the
Thank
company decided as an entire Erickson Living Corporation that if if staff wanted to go to the Katrina disaster area, that they would allow us to have a full week of time off. And so I had that unique opportunity to participate in helping the people, in this case it was in Mississippi, and the extra benefit was I went with my youngest daughter and her team, and so it was that extra, not only a week of being able to do that, because as you know, it takes a whole week to do a trip like that, and to use your vacation to do something like that at the time, I didn't have a lot of vacation.
Right.
And so I actually was able to do that twice.
Right.
Wow.
And that's really great that you could take a week, sort of get paid for your week of work. Now, of course, you had to get yourself there, you had your expenses there, so you also had a financial and time commitment. But to be able to work for an organization that feels like your gift of time is very valuable and important to others is a huge also part of our corporate social responsibility, which we're really proud of. And I don't know that residents necessarily know that because it's sort of behind the scenes. So that's why I wanted to sort of bring that as an example.
And I do know that there are several staff members who can't give blood, but they donate their time at ANOVA for blood drives, and they'll help with registration at the various blood drive sites that you have on a continuous basis. So they'll do that instead, which is great. And
Right.
and I know there's no upper age limit to a blood donor, but there are some issues that people have where they just can't give blood. Some people will have told me, I've tried, they just don't like my veins.
Sometimes, I mean, it all depends on each individual, and we try very hard to, obviously we want everybody to be able to donate, but not everybody can, whether they've had illnesses or low iron, or they've traveled somewhere that has some restrictions. But on our side, we also, like Diane said, we have many past donors who can no longer donate, who are volunteers for us. They go to different blood drives and work at the registration tables, or they'll come and work our big sponsorship drives and work in the canteen, helping pass out cookies and juice and crackers. So we have very committed donors and volunteers that we couldn't continue without them.
Right.
So we are grateful.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're at our last few minutes, believe it or not, so I'm going to let you have the last word, but I want to first thank Heather for coming here and joining us. So tell us when that October drive is one more time.
It's October 27th. I'll have to get back with you on the time, but I think it's like 9 to 2, 9:30 to 2:30. I'd love to be able to come this summer and talk with you and the team so we can make sure we staff on our end appropriately, bring the right amount of snacks and juice and t-shirts. Because if you can hit 41 units in March, the sky's the limit for October.
Oh, that sounds like a challenge.
That is. And Kimberly, one last word on corporate social responsibility, and also I think I want you to tell us why the Scholars Fund is so important.
Okay, so corporate social responsibility, again, is about our partnerships. It could be gifts of time, it could be financial, or some combination. Now, I know we've talked about a few organizations, and I can just envision my phone's going to start ringing with 400 suggestions of organizations for us to get involved with, which I appreciate, but I don't want anyone to think we're going to be able to, add a whole bunch more to sort of our mix. But if someone does have something, occasionally there are special projects that we might add in at different times. So I don't want you not to share information, because there may be ways that we can do something in some way. So we do appreciate those when they come, but it's not an open season to say, let's bring every idea to Kimberly today, because the plate is already full, and we're really sensitive to those partnerships with our residents, because we also don't want you to be overloaded with feeling like, oh, another canned food drive, oh, another walk, oh, another something. But we really appreciate the partnership. It could not be done without residents and staff. And the residents in many cases are the ones driving the organizations we're partnering with, because they've started it first. And then on Scholars, which is a little bit outside of corporate social responsibility, I'll just do a little quick push to say, if you haven't given and gotten your yellow ribbon, please do. The campaign is in full force, and I'll be on next week to give lots more details about the campaign. If you've already written a check, Molly is actively processing, and if you haven't gotten your ribbon and you really want it today for the weekend, come by our office. We'll give you one right away. She's working on thank you letters right now, so we thank you in advance, and for all the resident support, because this year is a big class, and it's really critical that we continue to work together for education of our students. So it's very exciting.
And you don't have to give a lot. You can give, I think Kimberly would take $1, but you could probably make it $5, because that's what, a cup of coffee? I don't know, I don't go to Starbucks, but I'm thinking that's a cup of coffee. And I'm going to give you a really good reason why you should dig into your pocket, because there's a scholar coming up who's going to tell you why it's so important.
My name is Ashley Hill. I'm a senior at Hayfield Secondary School, and I work in Woodland Skies. Next year, I'll be going off to college. Well, this year, I'm sorry. I'll be going off to college to study cinematography as well as Spanish. And I just want to say thank you all for allowing me to be eligible for this scholarship. It not only means a lot to me, but it also means a lot to my parents, because I'm able to save the money after they've already put 2 students through college. And that's actually very important to me, to be able to save my parents as much money as possible. And I want to thank you all for letting me do that to my parents.
Hello, my name is Adfa Hamid. I attend Lee High School, and I just wanted to thank all the residents for supporting my future by donating their money.
Before I tell you what's coming up later on in Channel 6, I want to give another thank you to Heather Wade for taking the time to talk to us about the ANOVA blood drives and just ANOVA and giving blood in general. And I look forward to working with you and our 19-plus seniors. And Kimberly, as always fun
Good
to
to
have
be
you
here.
here and talking about something that I'm definitely passionate about. So, on the weekend, we have Village in Motion on